We are heading over to the lighting store, which is very exciting. They have a really great sale right now for Black Friday. So although we are not rewiring the house until January, we figured it wouldn't hurt to go see what's available in terms of lighting for the house, because we have a lot of lighting that's very old. I just switched places with Alex so that I can work on my driving. It's always good for me to drive in to town sometimes because I have not driven alone yet in New Zealand. Some things are harder than others when moving countries, and for me, it's driving on the opposite side of the road. So, still trying to get used to it. Here we go. I should put that in drive first before we go.
Yeah, neutral.
Oh.
Probably not the best way.
Oh,
look at
there's
some little
sheep.
escapees.
Some sheep escaping. That's our life, is just
You're not
watching
ours.
sheep escape. On our way to the lighting store, we stopped into this little bookstore across the street, and I found two reading materials. One is the Garden Pest Book. So this is an illustrated New Zealand guide, which is nice because obviously there are different pests here in New Zealand but there are also some that are the same than in the US. But yeah, it's cool to look through here and kind of see what each pest is and what they do to the plant and how to treat it. So this will be really good for the vegetable garden. And this is the Vegetable Book, An Unnatural History. And I'm really excited about this because Alex and I always talk about the history of different vegetables. Like, we'll be eating a certain veggie and we'll say, where did this originally come from, and the origin, and just sort of like its history. And we always Google it. So now I can just open up my guide, and it's really cool. It goes through so many different edible plants, all sorts of veggies, like even like dandelions, like just like things that you can do with there's potato, there's spinach, like just learning about the veggies that we eat every day that's in our daily diet. I find it really fascinating, so I'm really, really extra excited about this one. So good find. Also, the lighting store has an even better sale going on in a couple of days than the one that we saw before. So we're actually going to be there in 2 days' time for 45% off sale, which is so good. So we'll be back there, and we got a good look at like what we're wanting for in terms of lighting around the house. So we got a good idea, took photos of the ones that we liked so that we can go back in there and just kind of pay for them and get them and have them just kind of waiting on the side till the electrician can put them together. One thing that's changed, Alex is actually in Miter 10 right now getting more filler for the wood floors. He's been working really hard on filling in the cracks on the wood floors, and then in the next couple of days we are going to be renting the sander to just start sanding the wood floors in the house, which is going to be huge because when that's finished we can go get our stuff from storage, which is really exciting. We've decided for the time being to not go straight into carpeting the bedrooms. We are going to hold off on that. We're going to get some big rugs for those rooms. If we're putting all this work into sanding the floors, they're going to look beautiful, and we were going to do carpet. We got a quote for it. We were just like, we like wood floors. So for the time being, we're going to keep the floors wood, and then just put some really cozy rugs in the bedrooms and just keep it all kind of consistent throughout the entire house. Things evolve and change over time, and one day we can think we want something and the next it can completely change. So we're just kind of going with the flow and taking it day by day and just kind of doing what we feel is right in the time. I got myself nice little chai that I finished. It feels like a treat now because we don't go into town often. I remember when I used to live in LA, I would get coffee at, you know, coffee bars all the time. And now it's like a treat when I get them every once in a while. We just went into the Wee Bread Barn, which is such a cute little place that I love stopping into. Look at these strawberries. They are gorgeous. There's really nothing better than big, fresh red strawberries on a beautiful sunny day. I'll show you guys also why I came to the Wee Red Barn. I love this black raspberry balsamic drizzle that they sell. This is my second bottle of this because I devoured the first bottle of it. It's by Pepler's Handmade Goodness. So I love this stuff. My neighbor and I popped into the Wee Red Barn a couple of weeks ago and we both picked this out and I've been loving it. She said she really likes hers too. So I'm already on my second bottle. Aren't these just gorgeous? Our friend Sue came over yesterday with her partner Andy and she brought us peonies and roses, and we have these. I can't remember the name of them. I'm still learning all of my flower names. I'm pretty good knowing veggie plants, but flowers I know peonies and poppies and roses and other ones, hydrangeas and all that kind of stuff, but there are some I don't know and I can't remember what these are called. Comment below if you know the name of them. Sue told me yesterday and I already forgot. But we have a bunch of them around the homestead, which is really lovely. And then I've actually planted some peonies in the garden, in the veggie garden, in the like floral section. So hopefully one day I'll have some beautiful peonies as well that I can cut and put into a bouquet. But honestly, flowers are like the best gift you could ever give me because they just smell amazing and they just make me so happy. We soaked these chickpeas overnight. We're gonna throw them into dinner tonight. I've been loving buying things in bulk, as you guys know. So we have this that we bought in bulk and just soaking them when we want to use them. I just feel like it's so much better than canned food. Buying food in bulk like this is great in so many different ways. It's better for the planet because less waste. It's better financially when you buy in bulk too, because we know we're going to eat chickpeas for a while and these will last forever in here. And then you just soak them when you know you want to eat some or just randomly when you feel like it. I also just, from a visual standpoint, it brings me joy to see the food that we have just in glass jars like this. I feel like it makes me think about the food more and want to eat it more because I can see it when I'm in the kitchen. So that's why I quite like this open concept with the food, because I feel like what you see, you eat. If it's hidden, you kind of forget that you have it. I like it. I just found Wilson on the other side of the fence near the road. Nobody drives down the road though, so it's really not that big of a deal, but he was grazing the other side of the fence. So I was just walking around the property and saw him and was like, what are you doing? Where were you? I told Alex and he's already out here fixing the fence. There was essentially a piece of wood a lot lower than the rest, so I think that's how he got through. That's definitely how he got out.
Yeah, I saw it the other day and just gonna get in here and fix it and forgot.
There we go. Now Alex is on like a fence fixing spree. Wilson's definitely much safer on this side of the fence. Sometimes I look at him out in the orchard and I'm like, I wish I lived in the orchard full time. He's got like the shadiest little spot and he's got all this grass to himself. Not a bad place to be a lamb. I am sitting underneath the pear tree in the orchard. It's so cool to see the fruit starting to form, because when we first moved into this property in the winter, or when we first looked at it in the winter, it was the heart of winter, and it was really cold and really gray. The house was really cold. The trees were just completely bare. And when I think about the property now, and the flowers starting to bloom, and the fruit starting to form on the trees, and just how green it is now, I just think back to our past selves, and it's really nice that we were able to see and envision the potential for this place, because we came on a super windy and rainy day, and we didn't know what fruit trees were going to be in the orchard. And one thing that the previous owner did very well was plant edible trees, and I'm sure they had a thriving veggie garden at some point when they were here. When we got here, it was just all weed. And so just over the last couple of months, we've only been here for 2 months, which when I think about that, it blows my mind, because it feels like we've been here so much longer than that, because so much has happened, because we have done so many projects along the way. But yet it also still feels so new, and it still feels like there's so much to learn, and there is, especially just with this orchard, for instance. Like, this orchard has over 25, closer to 30 fruit trees. I think the orchard itself maybe has over 20, around 25, and then along the whole property there are over 30 fruit trees and edible trees in some way or another, which is crazy. You know, we have cherry trees, there are small walnut trees, there's a pine nut tree. I really love living in the countryside. I knew I would, but there was a little inkling of me that thought, okay, you really want to live in the countryside at some point. Will you really love it as much as you think you do? And I absolutely do, especially on a piece of land that has so much to offer. I'm really looking forward to the summer and the fall here, where we start to really get to work with the fruit trees and harvest them and start preserving the fruit. And there's so much we really want to dehydrate. We did that with plums when we were living in Waikato area in New Zealand. Our neighbor at the time brought us over buckets and buckets of plums from his plum trees, and so we dehydrated them, we preserved them, we learned a lot about that. I'll just say this, there's always something to do around here, and it just keeps me so busy and inspired and thinking ahead. And it's always important for me to take a step back and remember to live in this moment right now, because I think it can get, especially right now with renovations, it can get so, it's just so easy to constantly think about the future. When the floors are done, when we go and get our stuff. I even said that earlier in the vlog. It's so easy to keep looking ahead. So speaking of being in the moment, that all being said, I'm going to tell you guys about something that we've found out today that is going to affect our future. So I am going to start talking about further in the month right now. We had a plumber come over today that gave us some good news that we didn't expect. I think if all goes well, we're going to be starting our renovations on the bathroom a lot sooner than we expected. Well, at least a couple of months sooner than we expected. We're likely, if all goes well and it pans out the way that we think, we might have the bathroom renovated by Christmas. We didn't expect to even start on it until next year, but we're working with somebody who has some availability, and is able to work with us on it, and we're going to do a lot of it DIY, and he's going to help us, and Alex is going to kind of be by his side and learn as we go along, because he really wants to know more about plumbing and kind of how to do like the dirty work of the renovations. And I'm going to be there too, and we're going to work on tiles underneath the fireplace. One thing that I will say, this experience, leaving Los Angeles, moving to a rural homestead in a small town in New Zealand, in the countryside, has, I think, really helped with my confidence. And I've always been confident to a certain extent, but when I say confident, I mean more so it has shown me that I'm more capable than I ever thought I was. I think living in the city, it's so easy to get help from other places. You know, you can use an app to have somebody come hang a shelf for you, or do kind of whatever you need to do, anything you need to get done in the house. And here, we, especially financially, after purchasing this home and all that stuff, we kind of really have had to be like, okay, we're going to go in and do a lot of this stuff ourselves. And we're going to learn, and we want to learn. That was the whole point of getting a home that was a little bit more of a fixer-upper. We got so lucky with the land. The home is beautiful. It has all the bones that you want. It just, you know, we're making it ours, and we want to do that through our own sweat and tears, because it's so good to know these things and to understand how they work. Gosh, my brain has just, there's so much information going into my brain every single day here, especially just, you know, yesterday I was thinking, and I posted this on my stories on Instagram, the daily things that you have to think about when moving to a different country. Many of you out there who have lived abroad and who have experienced this before, I'm sure you can relate. You know, leaving America, for instance, most other countries use the metric system. And so relearning how to measure, relearning about Celsius versus Fahrenheit, relearning how to drive on the other side of the road. But I didn't really think about that stuff, you know? And maybe I am just the type of person that just jumps without thinking, and I guess I kind of am, especially just based off of my life over the last year. I think I am that person. But I think that it's good to, at least for me, to be that type of person, because I think that if I were to get into all of the details, and if I would have thought about like all the things that I would need to relearn and how different everything would be, and the opposite side of the road, and the metric system, and, you know, Celsius, and all of these types of things, I would have felt overwhelmed. I just sort of went for it and was like, okay, whatever comes my way, like, what will be, will be. And it's all okay. And in reality, experiencing it, like I said before, it is expanding my mind. It is making me feel more capable, and it's going to take me time. I'm not going to learn these things overnight. And, you know, some people sent me DMs yesterday on Instagram and said that they've lived in certain places for 10 years and they haven't even sorted out some of the, you know, conversions or differences. And that's okay. And I don't have like a time crunch on myself for when I need to be, you know, proficient in all of these things. It's a journey, just like renovating our home is a journey. And I think I have to remember not to put pressure on myself in those moments, especially like even just driving the car on the opposite side of the road. Like, there are moments where I'm just like, why am I so afraid of it? It's like this like mental block. Why am I so afraid of the opposite side of the road? Why am I? It's almost like I've built it up for myself, because I know if I just like drove around here, I'd be fine. I've been driving for many years. I'm a good driver, but I just kind of psyched myself out, I guess. Also, we just have a routine where Alex gets in the driver's seat and like I get in the passenger, and that's just how we've been doing it because we just have so much to do all the time lately that like we just jump in the car, go into town, get what we need, come back. And so when we remember and we were living in the present moment and we're like, oh wait, let's slow down, like I'll drive, you know? We do so much together because we're doing all of these projects together. So I just haven't really had to force myself to do it. And so that all being said, I'd like to be able to drive on my own by January. And I know I just said that I wasn't going to give myself timelines and pressures, but I think the only one where I need to do that is with the driving, because if I don't, I'll just continue to psych myself out and like push it back. And if I don't give myself a bit of a timeline, I could see myself just pushing it back more and more. And I'm a very independent person, so I have to make sure that I get that on track. I can hear Alex in there nailing away. He's such a hard worker. Ugh. He's learning so much. He's just some love to my husband right now. Like, he is just, I can't believe how much he's doing and how dedicated he is. And he's making our home so beautiful, and he's putting so much time, and he's learning so much. And the wonderful thing about him is that he's such a fast learner. Like, we moved into this house, he knew nothing about taking care of a house. And I'm serious. Like, even when we were living in LA, he didn't even really want to put a painting up, or he couldn't really put a shelf up or anything. Now he's like, anything I ask him to put up on the wall or whatever, like, he knows exactly what he's doing, because he just, I guess he had a mindset when we moved in here, and he was like, I've got to learn this stuff. If we're going to do this, if I'm going to be living on land and in a home here in the countryside, like, I need to learn. And he really has so much. It's been incredible to watch him evolve in so many different ways. Well, that's my little orchard chat for you all. I hope that you enjoyed that, and I'm gonna go make some delicious dinner for myself and for that hardworking man in there right now, because we deserve a nice, hot, yummy meal tonight. As always, thank you all for watching this one, and I will see you very soon in the next video.